So I'm going to talk about how do we scale up digital engineering in a very large enterprise setting. Interestingly, earlier today we got the Cognizant got the award for application scale, which kind of goes well with what we are talking about here. And given this is a technology conference, I would think you'd consider me crazy if I say that technology is not that important. The people behind the technology is what matters, who drive how the digital engineering can scale up. That's where I'm here to give you a different perspective altogether around how we can really scale up digital engineering in any enterprise landscape. Now, speaking specifically about what digital engineering is, because everybody has a different perspective of what digital engineering is. In very simple terms, it's about how do we scale enterprise and leverage a cloud native and microservices and the application architecture as such. So to get into a more of a continuous innovation mode, you need to modernize your application, build cloud native and microservices applications. So that's basically what we call the engineering. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. The problem that we had at hand is how do you take your legacy applications or legacy mindset and then change to a more modern. It was no different than, say, changing fuel mid-flight. So here, what we are looking at is, can I take a 20-year-old mainframe engineer and have them do what you call a pair programming, build Angular and Spring Boot applications as such? Now, that's something that we have been able to do in Cognizant. We basically have a couple of thousand people who are going through this whole program, learning all the latest technologies and kind of being the future of how engineering has to be, per se. But it didn't go as you'd expect. It comes with certain problems, right? Apprehension about, can I do it? Is this feasible? And how am I going to really scale up? And why do I have to change or learn as such? Especially given that the way the organizations have been kind of set up, you have a lot of silos, and everybody is incentivized to basically work in their own silos. And our problem was, how do you bring down those silos and have people work together? To be able to do that, we have to go top down. Without leadership support, things don't change as fast as we need. But at the same time, we need to be inclusive and make sure that we can have the grassroots movement where people want to do this. There's extrinsic benefits and motivations that come into play. The different models that we have to make sure we follow around how people are rewarded, incentivized, and then the whole budgeting cycle and everything comes into play. But the fundamentally, one thing which you have to answer first is, why change? Why do I need to change? Is something which is pretty common first problem that you have to answer. And then why change now, right? We've been working in this for the last decade, couple of decades. Things have been working fine. So why is it now that I have to change into and become more like a Spring Boot developer for that matter as such? But that's where I think sharing a common vision of here's what the future looks like mutually for you as an individual as well as the enterprise, and being able to provide that grand view of here's what the journey is going to look like. And it's not going to be easy. You have to make a lot of decisions. You have to figure out which path is for you. We had like around 9 options from which you can choose based on technologies and where you are with your current skill level. So based on that, we kind of created a custom path, because navigating a maze of technologies, and like you're talking about, there are almost like 500 services that we get from the 3 cloud providers, and there's like every day there's a new technology that comes up. We need to structure it in a way that it's absorbable and then can be actually delivered. Another interesting aspect about Keep Calm. So I kind of like this, so I thought put it in. But the key here is that we actually built change champions who are leading the way in terms of enabling the folks to really transform themselves and also help the enterprise transform by being able to build the skills, being able to really think like a modern engineering organization such. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. It's a beginning of the journey. I think we have a long way to go, but we have actually made a pretty big, significant change in the way we have been operating. Thank you.